Hello. This semester, I researched the Poverello Center in Missoula, Montana. After researching their organization, I've concluded that what I'm calling a sustainment organization theory will strengthen the future of their organization. First, a brief overview of the Poverello Center. In 1974, 4 women started the Poverello Center as a soup kitchen. It has now grown to a facility that can shelter up to 175 people a night and serve up to 600 meals a day, with less than 20 staff. In addition to the emergency shelter on West Broadway, they also provide veterans housing and have a homeless outreach team. The mission statement aligns with Good Sales mission mystique theory. The longer version is, in collaboration with the people of Missoula and surrounding areas and local, state, and national organizations, the Poverello Center Incorporated reaches out in faith to provide food, shelter, clothing, and essential services to the communities hungry and homeless. This mission is accomplished through compassionate, respectful, and competent services in an environment that enhances human worth. The 2020 short version of the statement is, the Poverello Center provides food, shelter, hope, and help to all who ask. Relationships are key to success as the Poverello Center depends on community partners for survival. This is seen with their staff, clients, donors, all Missoulians, community partners, elected officials, city, county, and state. These partners provide for the Poverello Center finance, resources, food, and time to keep the organization operating. The leadership has learned how to tailor their messaging to their audience and to be strategic in their approach. Interestingly, the Poverello Center is a lifeline for vulnerable folks within Missoula's community, and uniquely, the Missoula community is a lifeline for the Poverello Center. In order to maintain this balance, the leaders must continue their interpersonal relationship building skills. As explained by Rainey, organizational leaders must constantly maintain a flow of resources into their organization to cover the incentives that must be paid out to induce people to contribute to the organization. There are 5 components that stick out to me about the Poverello Center. First, they're an open systems model. The system, as we learned from Morgan, works more like an organism and excels within an adaptive environment that can adjust workflow based on political, social, or emotional transitions. They're also a human relationships organization. They recognize and acknowledge the complexity of human nature and relationships, and they create a culture of appreciation toward personnel and their clientele. The human worth factor also aligns with Good Sales components of intrinsic motivation, mission mystique culture, and contested beliefs. Another component obvious with the Poverello is the servant-style leadership mentioned by all 3 leaders that I interviewed. As we learned from Mary Parker Follett, our job is not how to get people to obey orders, but how to devise methods by which we can best discover the order integral to a particular situation. The servant leadership modeled by all 3 directors shows the importance of the human relationship approach towards both the staff and clients, recognizing that they rely on one another to survive crisis. This organization is also adaptive. Leaderships customize their message specific to community partners. The organization must also be able to adapt to the conditions that it's presented with. In 2019, the facility experienced 2 sewage floods, which put the organization in crisis mode and worsened the crisis for their clients already experiencing homelessness. Vulnerable nonprofit organizations, like the Poverello Center, must be open and responsive to the environment of the Missoula community if they wish to survive. As we know, passion does have its limits, and that is when competent services must also pair with a human relationship component. Policy based on the philosophy of care is necessary to ensure high standards of care, organizational professionalism, best practices, and that community partner expectations are met. Policy must be consistent, yet adaptive with clientele and community needs. When dealing with clients, often in crisis, staff needs the stability of policy to work within their wheelhouse for personal and client safety. A sense of bureaucratic procedure guarantees nothing is overlooked and information is kept secure. The challenge over the 46 years of operation, one that many nonprofits can relate to, is fiscal instability. And this is where the sustainment element comes into play. One leader shared that it feels like they are grown up and the POB is a professional organization now, alluding to the memories that financials used to be in laundry baskets and now operations are adherent with best practices and most programs now are managed by social workers. This maturity has come after many years of operating in crisis mode. After all the years of struggling to make ends meet, they have prioritized strategic decision-making rather than being reactionary to client or organizational crisis. This promotes a culture of operational sustainment while planning for growth, services, and successes. This comes in part with the investment of a development director whose primary focus is fundraising and strategic planning. An additional component of the sustainment theory is investing not only in current donors and partners, but thinking ahead to the next generation, incorporating into the current culture the idea of future relationships and investments to ensure sustainability and to keep the wolf away from the door, so to speak. I learned that the Poverello Center has a reliable donor base, but they are generally older folks, and leadership is concerned of how this will impact future operations. Now is the time for the development director to be building the Poverello Center brand with a younger audience, so when the older folks are no longer donating, they already have captivated the new audience with brand reputation, which is built upon tangible results and emotional share of heart, so that potential supporters believe not only in the mission, but in the capacity to deliver on that mission. Now is the time to build the relationship with the younger generation to create the open door relationship to sustain the growth of the organization. A nonprofit that depends 100% on the community for survival must incorporate community branding into their organization. This will help create balance with the, as I mentioned, recent development director, who can help revive their mission, vision, and philosophy of care, who can create long-lasting relationships and start investing in the next generation. They can prepare for growth. Organizational leaders must consistently maintain a flow of resources into their organization to cover the incentives that must be paid out to induce people to contribute to the organization. They will no longer function in crisis. They will have a strategic mindset, depend on their board of directors as outreach coordinators to build brand and strength. Overall, the sustainment organizational theory will create future security for the Poverello Center. Thank you for your time.